This is Patricia Baranco, and welcome back to Door Talk.
Hey, welcome back to Door Talk. I'm here with Alan Campbell for one last episode, on covering electronic hardware, covering readers, credentials. And on today's program, we are going to be talking about your offerings for access control, lock sets, and electrified hardware that pairs into some of your newest technology with Engage, with standalone access control system through the Schlage Engage app and through networked options through channel partners with access control companies. So I look forward to hearing a lot about this. So again, like I said, I've got Alan Campbell with Allegion. If you have any questions or you need any resources from Alan, reach out to us right here at Door Talk, and we'll make sure to put you in contact with him. And let's get going.
Sure.
All right.
Thanks for having me. So the first thing we kind of want to touch base on today is our own software.
Okay.
It's called Engage. It's a very simplified access control software.
How much is it?
It is free.
Do you hear that? We never talk about price on this program, but I thought it was very important that you guys understand that the Schlage Engage app and the software that's cloud-based is free. Go ahead.
It is cloud-based, so great point. It lives on the internet, cloud, your cloud server, and then your phone. So when you're putting together your Engage site, it's basically your most simplified access control that you're going to have. So you're going to be able to create users, add doors, create schedules, and pull audit reports.
Right.
So you want to know who went through that door, you're going to be able to pull that information. You want to know the battery status of certain locks, you're going to be able to pull that information. So there's really 4 products that live on our Engage software, and that's going to be your NDE, your LE, your CTE, and your control deadbolt.
Okay.
So we'll touch base on the NDE first.
Okay.
And it's actually going to be the NDE B. So we covered Bluetooth earlier. So if you hear me refer to something with a B at the end, it's going to be Bluetooth
enabled. Yep.
So the NDE B is our newest product that we released last year as well. And it comes from the ND series cylindrical lock. So on the mechanical side of hardware, we have had our ND series for years.
And it's a grade 1.
It's a grade 1 cylindrical lock. We've added switches and boards to it, and we created the NDE B lock.
Perfect.
Okay, so it's an electrified cylindrical lock that's going to fit your standard cylindrical prep. So no additional prep needed to the door minus your door position contacts in below the lock and then into the frame of the door.
Yeah. Well, and that's good. So that takes care of any cylindrical offering. So what if the customer has an existing mortise lock and they want to replace that with something electronic? What do you offer for that?
That's a great point. So we also have our LEB line that comes from our L series Schlage mortise locks. So we took the L series body, added Rexes and switches and boards to it, and created the LEB line. So now this is a mortise version that comes in both a sectional trim and a one-piece trim. So if you're needing to cover up existing holes on a door, we have the one-piece trim that can cover holes, or if you have a brand new install, or if you're replacing a Schlage L series mechanical lock with an LE electronic lock, it's going to cover up any of those holes already existing with 2 additional prep holes for the reader.
Wow. Well, and the LE is a good product. We've actually seen a demo of that and the NDEB, and they are phenomenal. They program easy. They're the way to go for a standard commercial lock, whether it's a mortise or whether it's cylindrical. But I'll tell you something that we've ran into a lot in the field is an application on an aluminum storefront door, and whether you're integrating mag locks or an electrified exit device or some other form of means to lock or unlock that door, is the customer locked in, or do they not have an option when it comes to electrifying that opening with and keeping it on that free software, or do you guys offer something for that as well?
That's a great point. So we also offer what we call a CTE, which
Okay.
comes from our single door controller. So
Okay.
it's going to be a one box per door that you're going to be able to wire mag locks to, electric strikes. If you have an electrified panic device, all you have to do is bring the power to that lock, to those devices, and you'll be able to wire it. And it comes with a reader, so it's going to have a wall mount reader
Okay.
on the outside of it, and you're going to be able to. You actually can power up, really whatever you want. So you can actually do auto operators with a Von Duprin QEL device.
Oh wow.
You can do, simple as just a mag lock and a reader, an electric strike and a reader. It basically provides you that control panel for one door.
Well, and that's a good offering, because I know that when you tell somebody that's got a front door that's a glass door, and then they've got two office doors, that you're going to have to charge them for not only the door hardware, but they're going to have to pay a $3,000 or $4,000 fee for a access control software package with a server and all this stuff. So when you start talking about that big money, a project can go from just the cost of the door hardware and the controllers to astronomical, to where it's something that people can't afford because of all the additional wiring and stuff like that. But, you guys have covered all the bases in my mind. You can hook up the aluminum door, go inside and put a cylindrical lock on the two offices, and boom, they have a programmable, manageable access control system that they can manage anywhere in the world.
Yeah, it's a fantastic system, and really it's designed for multifamily and your small to medium sized businesses.
Right.
90% of the sites that we have on Engage range from 5 to 7 doors.
Yeah.
It's somebody that wants access control. They want to control their doors. They want to control who's coming in and leaving those doors, and they want to be able to pull a trail on who went through those doors.
Through the door and when. Yeah.
And when. So it's a great product for what it offers. The last product that we have that fits the Engage software is our controlled deadbolts. So when I mentioned multifamily,
that's what I was going to say.
The controlled deadbolt is what we look for in multifamily. It's going to provide the same functionality that a mechanical deadbolt does. The only difference is, instead of using a key to unlock that door, you're now presenting a credential.
Right.
So it's still technically a mechanical throw. So when I walk up to my deadbolt, my apartment, my unit, I present my credential, my key. It acknowledges my key.
Right.
I then turn the deadbolt myself.
Right.
I provide the power to it. Go in, and when I shut the door, I turn the deadbolt on the inside to lock it. So there's no special,
Right.
I don't have to retrain you as a tenant how to operate this door.
So it's basically taking something that used to be operated mechanically with no audit trail, adding the capability to do it with an audit trail and electronically, but it's still the same amount of motions, same input on the tenant's part.
Correct. We were asked why we didn't make it a motorized throw, and one of the two things for it really is, one, if we were to provide a motorized throw for it, and when you present your credential, it pulls back the latch on its own. One, that's going to make the product a lot more bulky than it is. It's it's got a very nice profile on the doors. Not going to take up a whole lot of room like your typical motorized latches do. Two, it's going to increase your battery life. So when I'm the power that's throwing that lock, it's going to save your battery. So you would take something that has a motorized throw that would probably last a year, to something that is mechanically powered but electronic reading, that's going to take it to closer to 2 years of life cycle.
And that's incredible. So the Schlage Engage app is a very simple thing to set up and use. We've used it not only for demos, but we have several customers on it as well. And like you said, that target range there is anywhere from small to medium-sized businesses, to even in the residential market, like you said, multifamily home, apartment complexes and stuff like
Right.
that. So if you're looking for more information on the Schlage Engage, I know that there's also several videos that you guys that have on your
Yes.
channel that people can even get more familiar with the
Right.
product, and of course they can always reach out to us here for more information. But let's move on from the Schlage Engage software and talk about what your offerings are for networked and access control products. And I know that the Schlage Engage stuff can also fall into that category.
Right.
Your smart locks can be integrated into your access control system by the big manufacturers and the big distributors of access control. But let's talk about what Schlage's offerings are as far as network locks.
Sure. So that's a great point. So we have kind of two technologies in our network locked. We have our Bluetooth low energy, so BLE with a gateway, or we have our 900 megahertz. So we'll kind of, since we talked about Engage products, let's kind of go into the BLE side of things, so the Bluetooth low energy. So the products that I had mentioned before, the NDE, LE, and Control, the single door controller doesn't really apply to network lock because you can just hardwire those without it. You don't necessarily need the CTE like you would in an Engage site. So with the NDE, the LE, and Control, you can actually run those back to communicate Bluetooth to a gateway that sits in the ceiling, and
Right.
then run those gateways back to the control panel. The gateways have about a 30-foot range, so it's Bluetooth limitations,
Right.
but they're not going to take a whole lot of power.
Right.
They can be done RS-45 or IPPoE.
Okay.
So it depends on your software partner, your head-end system, and what types of integrations they have.
Because it's
for us.
ultimately going to depend on what communicates better with their stuff.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. So if they're able to, if they have the PoE integration, you're basically running a Cat 5, Cat 6 to the gateway, and the gateway has the ability to talk to the locks within that 30-foot range.
Right.
So if you can, the limitations are more of the distance than the gateway. The gateway can actually talk to 10 locks.
Yeah.
But there's not very many scenarios where you're going to have 10 locks within a 30-foot radius.
Right. Well, and that makes sense. So that covers the wireless options. But what about the hardwired option? As far as an access control smart lock that basically eliminates the need to have a separate electric strike or a separate electrified lock set with a reader over here on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
What are your offerings for that?
So all of these locks are wireless, locks that are going to be battery powered 4 AA's.
Okay.
So any of these locks are what we would consider integrated locks that would get rid of your hardwired electric strike and wall mount reader.
Right. Okay.
We also have a 900 megahertz type
For wireless.
for wireless.
Okay.
So instead of you're having a Bluetooth gateway, you have what we consider a PIM panel interface module that is wired back to the control panel.
Okay.
And then that talks 900 megahertz to our AD series products. So our AD series products, we have AD400,
Okay.
which is both wireless data and wireless power. So it's battery powered
Okay.
at the door. And then we have our AD300, which is going to be wired both power and communications.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so the AD300, so the AD wireless offers a networked availability and network feature for wireless, and that's the one that does 900 megahertz, the
Correct.
AD400? Okay. The AD300 is a hardwired lock
Correct.
that can communicate with either is it a panel interface module? What is?
So the 300, it depends on how it's wired. So if your control panel takes weekend, it does get, you would have to put it into a PIM.
Okay.
PIM 300, I believe, and that wires back RS-45 from the lock to the PIM, and then the PIM
To convert that
converts
Wiegand
it
data.
to the Wiegand
Okay.
back to the panel.
Okay, so for example, it's an access control system using Mercury hardware or using something that can, trigger for RS-485 connection. A lot of times they could just interface directly in there, correct?
Correct. So
Okay.
AD300, if it does take 485, you can actually wire that lock all the way back to the panel.
Okay.
direct to the
So you
panel.
can power it
Mhm.
and then use the two communication wires to communicate
Right.
with that panel. Okay.
Exactly. So, and that's kind of where the 8300 is a great hardwired option. So people that don't want to change batteries, people don't,
Right.
it's a hassle of changing batteries. But in an instance where you're okay with that, the 8400 is actually you wire one PIM, so take RS-45 wiring to the PIM that sits above the ceiling and has a much larger 200-foot radius.
Wow.
So I mean, you can really reach out and touch stuff, penetrate walls and doors, etc. You're going to be able to touch a lot more, and you're able to have 16 doors. So you could have 16 8400s to
On
that one
one.
PIM.
Yeah. And that's we have a large customer that is was almost like on the original flagship rollout for the 8400
Mhm.
several years ago, and the hardware is still in existence
Yes.
today. The only problem that we see, is just regular mechanical failure
Right.
on a lock body or something like that. But the electronics in those locks are very robust. They last, and then the PIMs are still the original PIMs. And
Right.
this project is going on 10 years old now, maybe
Yes.
maybe even 11. So we can speak to the longevity of the 8400 product. And the good news is that system. We upgraded it about 3.5 years ago to a different channel partner when it, and I know you'll speak with that, the software partners. We upgraded it to a different channel partner and took it off of the original old Schlage SMS software that was no longer,
Right.
part of you guys' wheelhouse, and upgraded it with minimal effort,
Right.
and it was a really cool thing to see how that worked and how it functioned. And the PIMs even retained the memory and the communication with the
Yes.
locks. So all we had to do is go into the software and build the new portals in the software and assign the lock location that was already had already been pre-established into the PIMs. So it was the best case scenario for an access control integrator to go in there and say, hey, here's a bunch of locks.
Right.
Let's figure out how we're going to do it. Because we were unsure at the time, but when I saw how easy that process was, I was really thankful for the PIMs and the 8400s and what they could offer.
Right, and that brings up a great point. Is what does AD stand for? We touched base on what everything else stands for. I never really touched base on.
I don't know.
So AD stands for Adaptable Design. So
I never knew that.
We actually have an AD 200,
right,
which is a standalone offline door that it's used for one-off type situations.
Right.
You can actually take that lock and upgrade it without buying a whole new lock. You can just buy parts and components to change that to an AD 300, to an AD 400, etc.
Sky's the limit. Yeah.
We can change the style of the handle. We can change the reed head. So if you go from we don't really see it anymore, but we used to have a prox only reed head.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to take the AD from a mag stripe reader to a multi-tech reader, let's say you have 8400s across campus that have mag stripe readers, and you want to you're upgrading your campus to a smart credential. Instead of buying a whole new lock, like you would have to buy a whole new reader, you can actually take the reed head off, that mag stripe reed head, and put a multi-tech reed head, and that's now you have a brand new lock with a multi-tech reader on it.
Well, so we had a scenario one time at one of the colleges that we had integrated some access control in, and what happened is we had put the 8400 locks on. They had to be wireless because it was going across the entire gym.
Right.
And a gym is very large, but it was also very open. So we put the PIMs, the wireless PIMs, on one wall of that gym on the side that was closest to the access control system, and then shot the wireless signal across the gym to the doors.
Right.
Well, none of us thought about it at the time, but the two doors were actually, one was the female locker room and one was the male locker room. So what was happening is these guys and ladies were going out and they were forgetting their student ID. So we actually they commissioned us to go out there and change the reed heads to where they could issue the athletes a pin code.
Right.
So it was that was huge technology for us to be able to only change the reed head versus changing out the entire lock, because it became just a this amount of an upgrade except
Right.
instead of this. So
Yeah.
that was huge, and for us to be able to offer that in such a timely manner, it made all the difference in the world. And
It really does.
Then it does offer the multi-tech prox card format and with that reader, but also the keypad, and it made it really easy for us to just make a way for them to come back in after running track or practicing football or
Right.
baseball or whatever, because nobody thought about the fact that they probably weren't
weren't.
carrying around their lanyards when they were out
student
there
IDs.
working out.
Right.
So it worked out really well.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, it does. And a couple other points that we like to talk about with the AD is the different features that it has. So it has a heartbeat. So the lock is going to check back in
right.
every 10 seconds at minimum. And you can set that when you're programming the lock, so you can adjust it from 1 to 10 seconds. So in a lockdown situation on a college campus, on an elementary school, you're going to be able to hit your lockdown button in your access control software and at minimum 10 seconds. So wherever that's at in its 10-second rotation, if you have it set to there, it'll lock down every single door within the 10 seconds.
Wow.
So the more you check in, the more battery life you're going to have, or that it's going to eat. But 10 seconds is a pretty fast time to lock down an entire campus.
Oh yeah, I mean, anything that can be done in 10 seconds is pretty impressive.
Yes.
Especially when you talk about lockdown. So let's talk a little bit about the channel partners that you guys partner with. Just a few of them. I know that there's many, but
yeah. So one more thing before we move away from the AD400s, before we move into the software, is we talked about how the NDE is cylindrical, the LE is mortise. Well, the AD series has cylindrical mortise as well as an exit device trim.
Okay.
So you can put these on a Von Duprin device that will allow you to control a panic type dice door while providing that access control.
And they do,
as well.
And I know that they do rim and then surface vertical rod as well. Okay.
Yes.
Perfect.
So we do have those different requirements spelled out on our website of what's
available,
what's available with which, because some other competitive devices we don't play as well as with on your surface vertical rods versus rims, etc.
Yeah.
But a lot of them are compatible.
Right. Perfect.
Yeah. So moving into some software partners, we have there's over 40 software partners that integrate to our hardware.
Wow.
So whether they integrate strictly to an AD400, an AD300, NDE, LE, control deadbolt, RURM, etc. It just depends on what vertical markets they're going after.
Right.
But, somebody that has
a lockdown focus might only be here.
Right.
Somebody that's got a focus on, all the offerings might have every product line.
Right. So some of those partners that we work with, we have S2, S2 Linnell, Identicard, Vanderbilt, etc. I mean, there's over 40 plus, and they all go after their different vertical markets, right? So, Identicard is going to be probably more focused on multifamily, whereas S2 Linnell might be more focused on higher education.
Right. Well, and that's good to know because, whether the channel partners are open with different distributors or different integrators, if we know that we found a product in Schlage or in Von Duprin or anywhere in the Allegion family that we like, it's good to know that most of these partners, at least 40 or more, within the access control industry and the offerings of software and the companies that are tied to them, it's good to know that we have those offerings to use the favorite products that we've seen and that we've had experience with and we know that work.
Right.
So that's really encouraging.
Yeah, you can actually visit the Allegion website to look at our alliance partners, and from there you can actually look at what integrations each of those alliance partners has.
Okay.
So S2 might have 3 different types of integrations for the AD400 based on what panels you have what
boards
type
you're
of
using, yeah.
boards you're using, what software you need, so that we can provide those data sheets to tell you, if this is the type of panel you're using, this is the software you're using, this is what type of version of that software you need to be able to utilize our products.
Perfect. Well, Alan, I want to thank you for your time today and the course of these last few episodes. And if you don't have anything else, we're going to sign off and let these guys have a good day.
That's it for me. So thanks for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, thank you so much. And listen, if you need any more information on Allegion, Schlage, Von Duprin, anything to do with electronics that Allegion might offer, you can reach out to us here at Door Talk, or give them the website for Allegion.
So Allegion's website is us.allegion.com. That's spelled Allegion.
Perfect. So go there if you need any more information, and come see us at Door Talk. Share this video out anywhere that you can. If you got any questions, let us know. And Alan, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye.